What's the first body part you ever had? Most people would guess a heart, maybe a brain, maybe your eyes, maybe your spine, but they'd all be wrong. The first was your anus. And before you close this video thinking that's a joke, it's actually one of the strangest facts in human biology. Every person who has ever lived passed through exactly the same stage. To understand why, we need to go back to the beginning. Not the beginning of civilization, not even the beginning of humanity, the beginning of you. A few days after conception, you weren't a baby. You weren't even recognizable as a person. You were a tiny floating sphere made up of cells. No face, no limbs, no organs, no mouth, no eyes. Nothing that would make someone point and say, "Yep, that's definitely a human." You looked more like a microscopic blob than anything else. But then something remarkable happened. Your cells began organizing themselves. Imagine taking a hollow rubber ball and pressing your finger into one side. The ball starts folding inward. A simple sphere suddenly develops an inside and an outside. Something very similar happens inside every human embryo. Scientists call this process gastrulation. And despite sounding like a stomach problem, it's actually one of the most important events in your entire existence. Many biologists have called it the most important moment of your life, because this is the moment your body begins creating its blueprint, front and back, top and bottom, inside and outside. The instructions for building a human being are finally being laid down, and during this process, a tiny opening appears. Scientists call it the blastopore. At first glance, it doesn't look impressive, it's just a hole. But this tiny opening will determine something incredibly important, because in the animal kingdom, there are two major ways to build a body. For some animals, the blastopore becomes the mouth. For others, it becomes the anus. Humans belong to the second group, a group called deuterostomes, which means that before you developed a mouth, before you could ever eat, before you could ever speak, before you could ever smile, the blastopore had already committed to becoming your anus. Your mouth literally arrives later, which means that for a brief period of development, you only had one opening. And yes, that opening was the future anus. Now here's where things get even stranger. Humans aren't unique. Every mammal follows this pattern. Dogs, cats, elephants, whales, even bats. But it doesn't stop there. Birds do it too. Reptiles do it too. Fish do it too. Even dinosaurs did it. Tyrannosaurus rex started as an anus, a giant long-necked sauropod. Started as an anus. Every eagle you've ever seen, every shark, every whale, every human, same blueprint. And the reason comes down to one of evolution's favorite rules. If it works, don't redesign it. Evolution isn't an engineer, it's a tinkerer. It doesn't throw away a working system and start over. It modifies what already exists. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the ancestors of vertebrates stumbled upon a developmental blueprint that worked. That blueprint survived mass extinctions. It survived asteroid impacts. It survived ice ages. It survived the rise and fall of entire species. And today, it's still quietly running inside every embryo on Earth, which means hidden inside your earliest development is a fossil. Not a fossil made of bone. A fossil made of instructions, a biological memory, a record of evolutionary decisions made hundreds of millions of years before humans existed, long before cities, long before language, long before mammals, long before dinosaurs, long before trees. And somehow, those ancient instructions are still being followed today. Every single time a new human begins. Which is why the title of this video isn't clickbait. It's technically true. The first recognizable opening in your body eventually became your anus, not your heart, not your brain, not your eyes, your anus. And maybe that's a strangely comforting thought. Because no matter how important someone becomes, no matter how rich, how powerful, how famous, or how successful, we all started exactly the same way. And while it's true that we were all once nooses, some people have simply chosen to stay assholes. If you enjoy exploring the strange questions hidden inside everyday life, consider subscribing, because there are still plenty of questions worth asking, and I'll see you in the next one.